am a true man, Belizean.
Tell them that we born there.
Belize my home, my native land.
Tell them that we born there.
I want you people to understand.
Tell them that we born there.
I am proud to be a Belizean.
Tell them that we born there.
You're born there, you're born there.
Tell them that we born there.
You're born there, you're born there.
Belizean diaspora stretches, which is a vast diaspora that stretches across the globe. Belizeans are everywhere you think that Belizeans are not. Belizeans are. And again, this is a XTV production. Our producer is Nur Muhammad, and the man behind the controls that brings us the show on a weekly basis, Harlan. We want to always thank him. And we want to invite you, Belizeans on the ground, Belizeans in Belize across the districts, Belizeans in Belize City, Cayo, Dangriga, Corozal, Orange Walk, Punta Gorda, wherever you are tuning in. I'm Bilal Morris, your host for today's show, and I've been out for a couple of weeks, but we again hope that we can get our sister ARIA LIGHTFOOT to join us. But without any further ado, let's go straight into the man of the hour, Phil Smart. And again, as I had said before, introducing this brother, it has been a long overdue. We have been trying to prompt him to come on. Phil Smart, again, wears so many hats, a legendary Belizean artist, musician, the mover and the shaker behind the band, the Dells and the Sensation. His brother, the legendary Del Smart, who passed away recently. This is a tribute to our brother, Dells, and we will hear a lot about Dells from his brother right here today, Phil Smart. Phil is also a certified public accountant who has done tremendous work helping and assisting Belizeans across the California region. He's versed in taxes, immigration issues. He has supported Belizeans even during the whole Trump administration immigration scare. Phil, they get people then their citizenship. we will hear the good news that our brother is doing in terms of this recent immigration situation. Phil Smart is also the writer of the Dells and the Sensation. He wrote many of the songs, many of the tracks, and he bring forth that Malanti Creole folklore. If you listen to a lot of the Dells and the Sensation music, you may have pay attention to the lyrics, raise the Belizean flag, and so on and so on. Kong Soup, we're going to hear about the controversy about Kong Soup, who actually did Kong Soup, the Sopa Caracol. Phil Smart, also a writer. He just recently released his new book, or his first book, the Dells and the Sensation, the history of the Dells and the Sensation. And reading it, I had to come back and say, Phil, you left a lot of things out of the book. You need to do volume 2, because volumes, Phil Smart and the Dells and the Sensation transcend volumes. Dells and the Sensation was the biggest Belizean band in the diaspora, the most successful, the most productive. There was nothing like them, and I will go on record of that. Not even the other Belizean bands across the United States, because Dells come from the 70s. Whereas a lot of Belizean band comes from the 70s, like the Web in New York. You have the Babylon Warriors and Skylighters in Los Angeles, but Dells and the Sensation was even bigger than them. And we have the man here, the living legend himself, to tell the story. You see how many introduction I have to give and his attributes, because Phil is large, man. Phil is large, and sometimes you want to be modest. No longer they try to invite up on the show. He is modest. And without any further ado, my brother Phil Smart, we want to welcome you to Navel String Connections. and to the studios and to the production of XTV. Brother, they are watching you, they are listening to you, and a lot of Belizeans from the nostalgia period, the old days and the times. Finally, will get you to speak. Phil, tell us where your navel string get buried because you live here in the diaspora for decades, right? A Belizean who have lived in the United States for decades, particularly Los Angeles. Talk about Phil where your navel string was buried, bro.
Oh, yes, I'm glad to be here, brother, and wish all Belizean would listen and hear how we worked in the Los Angeles community. But in order to do that, I had to come from a little village we call Gales Point, Manatee. They used to call us Malante Blackbird.
Hey.
But we have stepped up and worked together with everybody so that Belen Sensations has made a name, and I, as a leader, came about and did some work. But I couldn't have done all that work if I did not get the background in Belize. I talked about how we went to school at the Belize Technical College. From there, we went to the Belize Teachers College. And we also did some work on the programs for teaching, which we had to pass the first and second class teachers exams. And later on, we went to University of Leeds before coming to the United States. So you see, we had a vast background. I used to be the principal of 3 or 4 different schools in Belize. The last one was the Corozal Anglican School. So when I came to the States, my brothers had the band called Dell and the Sensations. They were pretty good, but they were not, they needed someone to take care of the band's business and to push them to higher heights. So I worked with them, and together we did quite a bit. And that is why I'm here today to answer any questions about Dylan Sensations, how we work in the Belize community, in the Los Angeles Belizean community, and what we plan to do in the future.
Very much, brother. And I kind of forgot to introduce your education, your education hat, because Phil Smart, as you just recently hear him explained, was is one of those prominent Belizean educators who came from out of the now defunct and old Belize Teachers College. Well trained educator that also studied in Leeds in London. I have a certificate in a credential in education, in teaching. This brother has been there in education, and he has contributed to his country by being, as he mentioned, principals of many schools. But I feel you pretty heavy in that field. But you jump from out of um, that whole education thing, and you did your part, you did your thing in Belize, and then you migrated to the United States, as you said, which when you met your brothers who had this band, this outstanding band, and you became one of the brain power, one of the brain child behind the band. Um, talk about, before you talk about your brothers and you being that moving force behind the band, talk about also the work that you did come into the United States. You educated yourself in other fields. Talk about what your life became beside the music part with the band, but you also dwarfed into other areas, right? You became a computer technician. You became a lot of different things. Talk about your career there in that area there, Phil.
Yeah, when I came, I was hoping to
But let me just put a pin
also,
there, Phil, because I'm hearing some kind of background noise. I don't know if you have a TV or something on, or is it coming from the XTV studios?
hold, hold a minute, I'll be back.
Okay. In the meantime, when Phil goes and uh, take care of the background noise, we are hearing like a television set, which is sort of bleeding into the audio. Again, we want to say this is an XTV production. I'm Bilal Morris. This is the show Navel String Connection coming to you. I'm still hearing it, Phil. Is it coming
But
from
that's
you?
not me.
It's
That
not
is
you.
not me.
Well, it's probably coming from somewhere in the XTV studios. I think Harlan picked it up.
Yeah, this is not that's not from my side.
Okay. Okay, I think it's stopped now. It's stopped now. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, that's much better because I know that our audience is beginning to pick it up, and I've been hearing it from the beginning the beginning of the show. So like we were saying, Phil, we were saying, um, you dwarfed coming and being migrating to the United States. Apart from, we don't want to talk about your work with the Bandel and the Sensations yet, but let's talk about your work in your particular career, in your field of accounting and working with these top industries in California. Talk about your life there. You have also earned several degrees while during that time, a man of education. Talk about your life there.
Okay, when I first came, I planned to go into teaching. But at that time, it was so rough. The kids were having beating up teachers and they were drawing guns and things. So I decided not to go in that field. So I went into the computer field.
Yes.
And there, I first went to Control Data Institute, and where I became a computer programmer. That's when I first worked, and I first worked at a place called Mini Data Systems, where I was doing computer programming.
Yes.
Later, when the computer field changed and everybody was focusing on networking, I also changed because I was one of the first that worked with Navel netware. That's where most of the networking came from. So I became a certified Navel engineer and also a
Wow.
certified network administrator. Doing those things, I was able to work at first Hughes Aircraft. Then I moved up to McDonnell Douglas. Then I went to Honeywell as a network engineer. And there I worked and I learned quite a bit about computer. But again, I worked with some people where we were working on programs that were outsourcing the networking to like India and different places. That's when they were paying us like $3,000 a month. They were paying them in India $300 a month to do the same thing. And consequently, you know what happened. A lot of the job went that way. At the same time, I used to do, when I first came, I was not satisfied with the guy who did my income tax. So I went to school and learned to do income tax. And I started doing taxes for people for free. And I found myself doing about 100 taxes for free. That's when I said, wait a minute, look like I can charge for this.
Right, right.
So I began charging for taxes. And at the same time, I was working at those other companies. But and of course, Dylan Sensations was always there. So we worked with the band on weekends, and during the week, I would do my computer jobs. But the thing is, at that time in the 70s and 80s, the community, most things that happened in the community happened through music. Because you would have, I remember Mr. Paul Warren was one of the first, the Belizean consulate. He was the honorary consulate. But through Mr. Warren, we would do community organizing and help the community in a number of ways that we can. And again, this happened because the band was always there to help. Because, you know, Belizeans, they like to party. And the band was always there to play. Another thing that happened again, through education, but through the community, was I met a guy called Mr. John Clark. And he was a friend with the first black mayor that was going to run for election to be mayor, Mayor Bradley. And he asked us to perform at his for his campaign fundraisers, which we did. And that is the time, you know, Mayor Bradley, everybody know Mayor Bradley. But the man that was really significant that we met through Mayor Bradley was Councilman Bob Farrell. He has made a significant contribution in the Belizean community. And he, right today, he's one of the persons, the politicians in Los Angeles that has made significant strides because of Mr. Farrell.
Awesome. You also became a certified public accountant. Now you can't do Desert the Sensation books without going there. And I know that you did not only learn how to do your taxes just like that. You sort of forgot that part. So talk about how you became a certified public accountant, Phil.
Well, I'm not really a certified public accountant, but I'm certified tax preparer. And like I said, I got into that because I was not satisfied with the tax that the guy was doing at the beginning. But over the years, sometime I remember one year I went to H&R Block because they say they were the best. So I said, I'm going to enhance my education. And I went to H&R Block School, which was supposed to be 3 weeks. But after 3 days, I did not go back. I didn't go back because I knew more than the teacher did. You know? So from then on, I decided, well, I'm going to learn as much as I can in taxes. And I'm going to enhance whatever I learn. So each year, whatever new comes out, I know how I have to do the research. I got to do the practice, and in order to put it into practice so that I can serve my clients.
All right. Go ahead, Phil.
One other thing I need to say is I've got a friend, a Belizean, Elaine Proby. She also
legendary Elaine Smith, the Belize gold medalist
Elaine Smith Proby. Yeah. She also do taxes, and what I say, we work together. A lot of people can't understand how come she do taxes and she and I work together. We all understand that in this community, if we don't work, we have to work together if we want to be successful.
Yes.
We work together in sports, in everything we work together. In fact, Miss Burks, Verona Burks, Elaine Proby,
The owner of
Lavernon,
Little
and
Belize
Turner.
restaurant. Yes.
Yes, those people, we worked together from softball team, where we had the sliders softball team. I sponsored it and they played. And together we got together. And we brought the team from Belize to Los Angeles, where they played the whole weekend. And that was history in the making.
Yes. Very much so. And as you mentioned, the tax part, I had to expound on the tax part or go into that because I know that for years, almost a decade or more, you have prepared the taxes for Belizeans in the Los Angeles area.
Yes.
You have prepared the taxes for Belizean businesses, but Belizeans, I am one of your clients, and you have prepared taxes for the Belizean community, and many Belizeans depend on Ali money. Right, Phil? Phil try to make one trip to Belize or something like that, or sponsor a vacation. And you can talk about that, right, Phil? How the Belizeans diaspora in Los Angeles and how that community are hardworking people. We pay their taxes, and at the end of the year, you the man, right?
Well,
Along with Elaine and others, but smart enterprises has prepared the taxes for so that then Belizeans could get any cheese, right? And be able to make that little trip to Belize or do something with that money.
well, yeah, that is true. But one thing I need to say is that in the 70s and 80s, there were quite a few Belizeans that came out here. They were undocumented, but
Yes.
they were working and they were making a lot of money because they do construction work. And I used to tell them, go ahead, file your taxes. And they were saying, no, I'm not going to file my taxes because I'm working under the table. And I would tell them, no, you need to file your taxes because when you get old, to get your social security number, you're going to have problems. Quite a few of them didn't listen. And today, a lot of them are having problems. Not only that, they have problems even getting social security because of their status. But again, when Reagan initiated amnesty,
Yes, President Reagan.
I decided that I'm going to learn about how to file immigration papers. But I tried to do it the correct way. First, I made sure that I was licensed, and I made sure that I was bonded. And I started help people to get certified, to get their green cards. Today, we're having big problems, but guess what happened? I am in a position to help a lot of Belizeans because as long as we could put the documents together, I am a certified immigration consultant.
Yes.
But remember, they have to understand that I am not an attorney, so I cannot practice law. But if there is something that they need to do, and I cannot do it because I cannot practice law, I could refer them to an attorney who would be able to do it. So everything comes right around. The immigration and the income tax ties in together.
Very much. And that's a very important point that you injected there. Because now with this new President Trump immigration sweeping deportation and the Belizean community caught up in that recently, quite a few Belizeans were deported back to Belize. And then the sweep continues. Belizean events are being canceled, like September events in Chicago. I want you to shed some light on that, Phil, whether these things were necessary or organizers in these states that put off, because you were one of those people in the 70s that organized, maybe the first to organize the first Belizean Day in the Park around the September celebrations. With this sweeping immigration problem that is going on, has been initiated by the Trump administration, Phil, and you have continued to serve the Belizean community in Los Angeles in that regard. Talk about these scares that appear to maybe be exaggerated and blown out of proportion sometimes. That would you encourage, or would you say that Belizean organizations in the states, in the different states, also in Los Angeles, should they be canceling their September celebration events? Talk about that because of these sweeping immigration problems. Talk about that issue, if you will, Phil, being someone who have worked with Belizeans in the immigration area.
Well, I don't believe they should cancel the program because of the immigration problems, because we have quite a bit of Belizeans that are here legally, that has green card and who are citizens. We should not abandon our Belizean celebrations or abandon our Belizeans heritage because of this the deportation issue. But if anybody know that they're undocumented, they shouldn't attend occasions where they might be caught up. ICE might catch them and send them back. Again, we also have quite a few Belizeans who came here and overstayed their visas, that are married to American citizens, or they have somebody that can file a petition for them, that can be the petitioner. And still quite a few of them don't even attempt to do so. So if your green card has expired, make sure you get it renewed. If you have your green card for a while, maybe it's best that you file for your citizenship. Some people, if you're here with a visa and overstayed your visa, you can get adjustment of status without going back home. But if you came illegally, that is, came across the border, then you will have to go back to get your visas. So, we have to consider quite what the situation is and how we can help them to get themselves properly situated. I need to say this, that I noticed that some people look down on those guys that were deported, that were sent back to Belize, and thought that they were criminals or things like that. But the idea is they came to the States to make a better living for themselves. They shouldn't be ashamed when they go back to Belize, because they learn quite a bit of things here. And when they go back to implement the good things in Belize, it's going to help the country.
Very much so, Phil. And on that topic, it's such a very important topic, and you are a man of not necessarily an expert on immigration issues, but you have practically done work in the Belizean community along immigration issues. And so information is power. And a lot of our Belizeans who live in the diaspora and live in these states, they have not armed themselves with immigration laws. They have not armed themselves with information, around immigration laws. And so today, Navel String Connection brings us this very important information from Phil Smart, a Belizean who have been working in community organizing in the immigration, in the financial, in the different business administration parts, and in the music and culture and entertainment field. Phil, you transcend all those bounds, and that's why I see all these things now with this scare and this fear that people are afraid when they don't know. It pays to know. Like they say, consumer knows your rights, don't pay more. It's the same thing. People know your rights, your immigration rights, your rights in terms of immigration laws. And if you're armed with, if you know what to do, as you are rightfully mentioning, you are sort of moving away that curtain of fear by bringing information along the immigration line. And we have had people come on the show who have immigration lawyers who have been able to bring information to the Belizean diaspora in the United States about these draconian laws that is sweeping these sweeping immigration laws that are deporting a lot of people who are illegally in the United States, which includes to a large extent our Belizeans. But I just don't want you to leave from that issue yet. But talk about, Phil, the things that you are doing presently in helping Belizeans in terms of getting their citizenship. Those who just need to make that one step from permanent residency to citizenship. You're not an immigration lawyer, as you mentioned, but you have worked as a community organizer in helping Belizeans in the community, and other people too from other Caribbean countries you have also assisted. You are versed in immigration laws and understand these things. Talk about what you're doing presently and some of the cases that you have administered to with this recent Trump administration draconian immigration laws.
Okay, but like I said, I am an immigration consultant where I am licensed and bonded, so I can help people to prepare their forms, get everything together, and get it submitted to the INS so that they can get their citizenship or green card.
That's Immigration and
Now,
Naturalization Service, yes.
There are a number of Belizeans, quite a few Belizeans that have a green card, and quite a few of them had expired. They were having problems. So I had to help them put the paperwork together and get it out to the immigration department. And I'm proud to say that about 99% of them got their green cards. Now, there are quite a few I'm working with to get their citizenship. Again, I was surprised about a month ago. One lady came and filled out his citizenship paper, did what we were supposed to do. And she went in for her interview. And she came back the next week with her citizenship certificate.
Wow.
Man, that was fast.
Indeed, Phil.
I remember when I went, I had to wait like 6 months. And when I had to go out, there were 5,000 people. I had to wait in line and all of that. But even with what is happening now with Mr. Trump, this immigration issue, the immigration department seems to be processing these things faster than they normally do.
And Phil, there is this fear that those things cannot be done, that it's futile to even try to do anything. The way how the news have reached the ears of people. And I'm so happy that you are able to talk about the success that those recent successes of people getting their permanent residency and to be able to stay here rather than taking the scare. The U.S. Embassy in Belize recently released a press release that Belizeans who are illegal in the United States, they need to come to Belize, and Belizeans home need to tell the people who are illegally that they need. It's just some very harsh, but it's wrapped up in a lot of misinformation that if you do not understand and know, you will buy into that hype and buy into that fear, and you forget to do the right thing. Like you were saying, as long as you do the right thing, you don't really have to retreat, from your position. Isn't that right?
That's correct. But there are some Belizeans that put themselves in position to be to have problems. There are a lot of Belizeans on social media who are undocumented. And instead of saying off Facebook and them places, they are there. Another thing what they do
Big mistake.
is some people come to me and say, hey, I need to get this done. I tell this one and I tell that one. The thing is, if you are here and you need to get some work done, keep that to yourself. You don't need to be spreading that to everybody.
That's right.
Because the minute you have problem with them, they're going to tell you, I'm going to call immigration for you.
Yes. Yes. And Phil, we have this undermining and disunited behavior. And I heard that it existed from the 70s, where Belizeans were actually reporting their own people to the immigration. Belizean snitches and stuff like that. We run against one another. We got this run against behavior. And we got the attitude of those at home and those abroad, and those at home don't like those abroad, and those abroad. We have these stupid little things that we work against our own selves. We are divided because of our own selves, right? Has nothing to do with the boogeyman that we claim is the enemy, right? May it be the white man or whatever, we are always the cry about. But we are our own worst enemy in a lot of ways. This undivided Belize at home and abroad. And we have people at home, I understand this, they squeal for people, they give information about, just try why we want to do that kind of behavior. Have that kind of behavior in the face of the world, where other countries who are in the same situation, then they unite themselves. And they are getting strong and be a resistance against these forces that are coming again in immigration. Talk about that too, Phil, if you may. It's sort of...
I always say this, that Belizeans do not understand what patriotism is, true patriotism. Because they would say, I'm going to go back a little bit to music. They would say, when September comes, and I'm always talk about it, when September comes, when you go back to Belize, you'll find Byron Lee's and foreign bands in Belize, where the local artists are not making any money. And the other bands are making hundreds and thousands of money. Some Belizeans think that reggae music is better than Punta or Brockdown music.
Yes.
Things like that. We have to learn to understand and appreciate our own. And until we do that, I remember before we got independence, Sefe used to come on the radio every morning and say, wake up and work and buy Belizean product. You remember that?
Yes, it did.
Or maybe you were too young to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the voice of Seferino.
So until we learn to work together, we're going to have problems. And I'm always saying that. I've always been writing about it. We need to appreciate our own. Yeah. Even when we had functions out here. Last year, I was involved in the 21st function at the Prince Hall. We had maybe about 500 or 600 people, but we normally had about 1,000. Half of those people went to a Jamaican function. The thing is, we got to teach our people to appreciate what we have.
To be able to embrace Belizean on a whole, right. Everything Belizean. Buy Belizean, right. Embrace Belizean, choose Belizean culture, music over overall, right? We
Uh,
have not got there yet, Phil, and such a good point that you mentioned. And again, we want to say this is Naval String Connections. I'm Bilal Morris, live from my studios here in Los Angeles. Our sister Aria Lightfoot may not join us today. She's having some internet problems. She is in Belize and having some internet problems there. This is a XTV production. Naval String Connection is an XTV production. Our producer is Nur Mohammed, and the man behind the controls that makes the show happen for us today is Harlan. If you want to view the show, you can go to the XTV Facebook page where the show is presently broadcasting live. For those viewers and those of you who can pass it on, if you want to tell one to tell one about tonight's show with the legendary Phil Smart, you can go to again to the XTV Facebook page or on YouTube, the XTV YouTube channel. Yes, Phil.
one thing we have mentioned was about the book.
Yes.
The
Now we're gonna get there.
lamentation.
We get there. We have time. We have time. You're here. Stay. Take your time, brother. Because you see, you write that book and I read that book and I tell you feel left a lot of things out of that book. Me and he have
Yeah.
conversation and me not say anything in the way he talk about Dells. There's a lot of history you left out of that book, so you have to come out with volume 2. So
Yes,
then
yes.
let's make this segment into the book. And we want to talk about Phil because the conversation that we have to have about Dells and the sensation, we don't have to go to the book. Let the Belizeans across the Belizean diaspora at home read the book. But
That's right.
what you are getting here is the living narratives of the man who wrote the book. Because he left out thing. Today we are talking about anything where he left out. Um, Phil, the origin of Dells and the Sensation, you built your career, and then you became a moving force behind this band, this legendary Belizean band led by your brother Del Smart, the late Del Smart, the legendary Del Smart. That voice, that silky voice, that song that brought the Dells and the Sensation their song, gave them their signature, right?
Right.
Talk
Yeah.
about the origin of Dells and the Sensation. Now you're merging into being a force behind this band. Talk about.
Oh, actually, Dell and Keith, my brothers, they formed a singing group in Belize. They call it the Miracles. And I heard them singing, and I invited them to a teacher's college to sing. And some guys heard them singing, and they got them to sing at the Eden Theater. And the band that backed them up was the Messengers. I remember one of the songs that they sang was "Wish Someone Would Care."
This is Eli Henderson and the Messengers, the legendary, the old Messengers,
That's
not
right.
Santino Messengers.
With you like Henderson Messenger, right? But just after that, Del and Keith came to the States. So that didn't last long. But what Del did, Del joined the Len Vaughn combo that they had in the States out there. And Keith joined the Astros. So Keith was playing drums for the Astros. And Del was the lead singer for Len Vaughn combo. But
And these
after
are
a
all
while,
brothers. This is brothers. All of the band
brothers,
members
yeah,
were all brothers from Malantee
brothers,
that
right,
migrated to the United States. Go ahead, Phil.
yeah. Then Del decided to form his own band. And Keith came over from the Astros and joined Del now. So we had this band called Little Del and the Sensations, which eventually came to Del and the Sensations. At that time, I was still in England, but they were playing around Los Angeles for a while. But they became probably the best band around, but they weren't getting paid. you know?
Yes.
So when I came, and when you look, we play and no money, I asked why. So they decided if they want us to pay, they got to pay us. And that's how we start getting paid. And the next thing you know, Dylan Sensation was a household name in the Caribbean community in this country.
What years are you talking about there, Phil? If you may share
Talking
with
about
us.
in the 70s.
1970s.
In the 70s. And, you know, we played all around. Plus, we decided after we played for a while and after we dominated everywhere, we said the next step would be to do recordings. We went in the studio and recorded. The song was named Tears, and my was named I Can't Take It. It was a song written by Ernest Smith. But the song was just there. And we took the song and we recorded it. And we changed the name to Tears on My Pillow. And I tell you what, we went in the studio and we got 245 records made. I picked up the Friday night and we walked around to parties and the DJ played them. We sold the 200 CDs in 2 days.
Wow.
That's when we realized we had a hit on our hands. But the thing is, that song is, like I said, Ernest Smith wrote it. After 3 months, Tears on My Pillow was selling all over New York. A guy named Chin Randy, he had a record store there. He pressed the record over there, telling the sensations, everything, our name on it. Was a big hit. It was a hit in Canada and England. But guess who really made the most money off Tears on My Pillow? Johnny Nash.
Hey.
While he was in the studio recording I Can See Clearly, we were in the studio recording Tears on My Pillow. And he heard it. And about 3 or 4 years later, he recorded Tears on My Pillow similarly to what we did. But he had more resources. Send it to England and everywhere. That was one of his #1 hits. We went to New York to play. And when I went to Chin Randy, he said, oh, I didn't sell too much. He gave us $300. I said, man, you must can do better than that. But at that time, we didn't know anything about copywriting. We didn't know anything about registering your music, you know. But we learned, and we learned fast.
And you played a tremendous role in terms of making sure that the band business was taken care of. You were
yes.
the moving force, and you made sure that the band songs were protected. I guess you went ahead and you registered and you learned how to copyright the music of the Dylan Station. Did you?
Well, I did. Well, one of the main significant songs that I copyrighted was Kung Fu. You see, we went to Belize to play, and Sounds Incorporated was playing Kung Fu. But they only had Watanege Kung Fu, Blue Ramawanaga. That was the whole song. So I added other lyrics to this song to make the song a song so that people could understand, like they drink it in Belize. They drink it everywhere because it's good for your back. Things like that, right? And that time Mikey was working with us.
That's Michael Hyde, yes.
Yes, we enhanced the music. In fact, Del and the Sensations was the first band that ever recorded Punta Rock music in the studio.
You hear that live, Belize?
Understand, Del and the Sensations was the first band that ever recorded Punta Rock music in the studio. Now, Songs Incorporated had recorded
Phil, to just to stick a
Beginner
point
Pandy
there,
and Kung Fu
just to,
on
just to
cassette.
stick a point there, if we can get Harlan to put up a picture of Dylan and the Sensations. I think we have one on online, or he have one in the studio there of Dylan and the Sensations, so people can get a view of
Yeah.
who the Dylan and the Sensations are. The picture of the book is good enough, Harlan. If you have that book, it's on the WhatsApp. It's on the WhatsApp thing. The Pride of Belize, Dell and the Sensations, the Pride of Belize. If you can put that, Harlan, if you can have that picture put up with the whole book, and so the picture of Dell and the Sensation, so our audience can get a view of what Phil Smart is talking about as we talk about the history of this legendary Belizean band. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, and Kung Su was, I invited Songs Incorporated to come to Los Angeles. They came, and I tried to get them to go in the studio and do recording. They didn't want to do that. And when they went back to Belize, the band dissolved. But what I did, I copyrighted the song, Kung Su. And I put, because I was in charge of Del and the Sensations, I put my name for Del and the Sensations. And I put Chico Ramos for Songs Incorporated because he was in charge of Songs Incorporated then.
Yes.
Today, there was a lot of problem when they were saying that we stole Kung Soup and all of that. But we didn't. We saved Kung Soup for them. Again, Banda Blanca is a Honduran band. They opened a show for us in Tucson, Arizona. And when we started to play Kung Soup, they jump at the stage with their baracas and everything, dancing and with their congos and everything. 3 months later, they brought out song Sopa de Caracol.
Yes.
And said that they made the song. But guess what?
He claimed it. They were claiming it.
The song was copyrighted. And not only that, the song was nominated for a Latin Grammy. And who you think they sent the letter to? They sent the letter to me, telling me my song was nominated for a Latin Grammy.
Belize music history for you right here, Belize.
It didn't win, but it was good.
Yes, yes. Phil, it's very important that you are revealing that very important piece of Belize music history, because Kung Soup was buried down in that controversy, and you have come today and cleared it up. You have rightfully explained to our audience and our music lovers, Belizean music lovers who are watching and listening to the show, you have cleared up that whole controversy that was surrounding Songs Incorporated, La Banda Blanca, Dels and the Sensation, around this song called Kung Soup. And it's very important that as the Belize Music Project, which has been recently had been launched last year by Ivan Doran and the Belize by the National Institute of Culture and History, that this is why history is so important. Because as I'm a part of that Belize Music Project, and as we document information, I'm so happy today that I hope Ivan is listening, or that he may listen or hear the show, and the government of Belize, that is, that we want to make sure that we have documented that we have documented our history properly. So I'm so happy that you were able to touch on that, talking about the Bandels and the Sensation, and cleared it up that Dels and the Sensation, played a tremendous role in making sure that Kong Soup stayed Belizean, right?
That's right.
Rightfully
Yeah.
said that when the award ceremony and things was to go on in sort of recognizing that song, they wrote to you. So what happened
Yeah.
afterwards, Phil?
Well, apparently, I understand that um, there were, I don't remember who the guy was working with Chico. Well, he was trying to get me to take my name off the copyright.
Wow.
I didn't.
That's the Honduran people.
No, no, it was a Belizean.
It was a
He was
Belizean.
in New York. I don't remember his
Yeah.
name.
Hmm.
But Chico traveled with Badna Blanca, and I assume that he got money from them. I have not gotten a penny from them, but guess what happened?
Hmm.
I want to show them that the integrity of the music stays in Belize. Right
Exactly.
now, there is probably some money there, but they can't keep it
Hmm.
because I said Dylan Sensations was not depending on them to be successful on
Yes.
that, you know.
Yes. Yes. Very much so, Phil. And it's very, very important that as we talk about the band Dels and the Sensation, that we talk about that chapter in Belizean music history that was surrounding the song Kong Soup and Songs Incorporated, La Banda Blanca, and Dels and the Sensation itself. But also
Yeah.
talk about the band's rise to national fame, because Dels and the Sensation became, though it was a band that came out of the Belizean diaspora, in the Belizean community in Los Angeles, Dels and the Sensation was nationally popular around Belize. Talk about those songs that you also was one of, you wrote a lot of the songs coming out of Malante and using Belizean Creole folklore that you injected into the lyrics of the song. And as we see the photograph of Dels and the Sensation and the book that was written by Phil Smart, our guest today, but you wrote a lot of the lyrics to those songs. Talk about the other popular songs beside Tears on My Pillow, Kong Soup. Talk about those other songs, because there were many albums, vinyls that Dylan the Sensation released.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
so Solon,
Yeah.
Alan, can you please keep it up?
Yeah. One of the, some of the songs that we wrote, we took some lyrics. We had some folk songs in Manatee.
Yes,
We played some Sambai song, we call it. And
yes,
we incorporated some of the lyrics into or the songs that we wrote. For example, we say fire Linda no fire. Linda Gana Sunny Bay Techman, right?
yes.
Linda was a girl that go out there looking for guys and things. That's a Sambai song. Then you have another one that says, Dixie me the run and ball. Dixie with the two machine. There we took some Sambai songs and bring the lyrics in. But there are also a number of different songs. For example, Raise the Belizean Flag.
Yes.
It's myself and my brother wrote Raise the Belizean Flag. We won the competition in Belize against all the top bands in Belize for Raise the
Awesome.
Belizean Flag. The only thing I'm kind of disappointed about with some Belizeans, when they talk about the song, instead of saying raise the Belizean flag, they say raise your flag.
Mm.
That's it. That's the book. Pride of Belize. It's a raise your flag. It's
Raise
a
your
raise the
flag.
Belizean flag.
Raise the Belizean flag.
Right. Again, before we got independence, we were in Belize the year before independence. And we recorded a 45 song. We call it Belize United. One that said, this 10th September, you got to remember that Belize was on the threshold of independence. We worked long and hard and have done our part to ensure appointment with history. As one we said, Belize United, que viva Belize. Belize United, sovereign, independent. The next year we got independence. But we
Yes.
couldn't go to Belize the next year because they didn't book us. And normally when we go by ourselves, pay our own money and go and come back. But we thought at least they should have got nuts to go to independence. We should have gone anyway because we were not there for the history in the making. Another song that we got second prize for was one we call I Love Belize. We talk about going down Queen Street, going down Albert Street, and different places. We talk about the country, you know. Another one was Thunder in the Street, where they're bringing down Thunder in the Street when they had the Thunder Squad.
Yeah. You took a
So,
lot of the themes, the Belizean national
yeah,
teams, the local
that's
teams,
right.
and you put them into the songs, and that was the genius of you, who was the man behind the scene. You also played keyboard with the band, but you
Yes,
were also the prominent songwriter of the band, bringing in that Belizean Creole Malante
that's right.
folklore onto the spin, which is so very rich, Phil, very very rich to know that we have that cultural perspective out of Del and the Sensation. Um, Talk about your brother, the late Del Smart. I had the opportunity to interview him on Belizean Legends. He spoke about how he started singing. That voice, Phil. When we hear Del and the Sensation, we hear Del Smart. And
Well,
we can tell that Del and the Sensation, the band got its name off its lead singer, which was your brother, the late Del Smart. Talk about how that all came about.
that's right. He was from young. He used to sing. You know, he was a singer, and he would sing for anybody who would listen to him. He sang with a police group in Belize, although the band wasn't that good, but he was there singing. And when he came to the States, he improved considerably. One of the most important thing about him is he could sing anybody's song. He could sing any cover song, but his cover song is going to sound like him.
Yes.
It's not going to sound like the original artist. And once we hear Del sing, or you hear a record playing, a song playing, you know that it's Del because he has a specific way of interpreting the songs.
Wow. Yes, that golden voice, man. It's
That's right.
classic. He said to me in the interview I did with him that he was singing Elvis Presley and Percy Sledge, and he
Yes,
won. Your mother used to have contests, singing contests, and
yes,
he was always winning them. Talk about that
yes,
if you can in the village of
yes,
Malantiville.
yes, man, yes, yes. You see?
Yeah, yeah. And
But
I was able to hear one of the latest release, a gospel, get a little taste. You shared it with me, and we are looking forward to hear that classic gospel release album that the Dell and the Sensation will be bringing out, or is it just a solo album
it's just
by
Solar
Del Smart?
Del Smart. You see, what happened is we got Del voice. So whatever song we gonna between Mike and myself and the group, we get together where we use his voice to do any song now. You see?
Technology
People
is
talk
allowing
about
you to do all that. Yes.
people talk about AI and things like that. We know what to do in order to keep their voice alive,
Very
and
much.
we're working on that.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Dell, that voice.
Yes.
Delta the sensation, and Phil, you still talk about a lot of Delta the sensation hit music, my brother, because Uno had hits, right?
Oh
I
yes.
remember the one where I show you the album where I show you like you're in a Beirut, right?
Oh yeah, that's freedom fighter.
Freedom Fighter.
You see, freedom fighter. The thing is, I saw a movie where this guy, a gospel singer named, I mean, the song name is "I Can Only Imagine," right? The guy who wrote this song, and this song was a hit song. But he wanted a girl to sing. The girl was the top singer. So the girl tell him, invited him. She recorded the song and invited him to the show when she was going to premiere the song. And when he came, the girl gave him the mic and said, "You sing this song." He didn't want to sing the song. The girl, you know what the girl told her? Guess what? If I sing this song, it's going to be my song. You write it as so, but they're going to recognize the song as my song. Now you think about songs like Freedom Fighter. Who wrote Freedom Fighter? Whose song is Freedom Fighter? You don't know, not true? But we have Freedom Fighter that you always hear is with Dylan Sanchez. I'm a
Yes.
warrior, I'm a fighter. But
Was it
all I
you that
stand
wrote
for
the
is
song? You wrote the
they
lyrics?
made it. No, that song is Arrow that wrote that song.
Arrow wrote that song. Wow, I did not know that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Arrow. Yeah, Arrow from
But they'll
Aruba.
put his name on that song. Another song is The Tears of My Pillow, like I tell you. When you hear
Yes,
Tears of My Pillow, you think about us.
yes. And Dell was good with the ballads. Dell and
Oh,
the
yes, man.
Sensation did not only do the jump up and the
With the ballad,
punta
yeah.
and the broke down, but mostly when they
Yeah.
played, correct me if you will, Phil, but Dell and the Sensation played broke down style. Would you say?
That's right. Right.
Straight from out of the village of Malantida style, huh? Jimbe. When you hear the Creole, it says, who said Creole no got no culture, right? When you hear in the desert the sensation, you hear that Jimbe. And as Leila Vernon would say, talking about all the various aspects of Creole culture, right? But Malante
That's
was
right.
is a rich part of Belizean cultural heritage, and the village, for me, where one of the greatest slave rebellions occur. For me, that's a prize village for me.
Yeah.
But there's the sensation come out of Malante, my brother.
Yeah.
Phil, and sometimes we know to realize it, and sometimes we don't embrace our music or embrace our people music. But talk about those times too, Phil, when you talk about embracing our music, where you have Uno going down the Belize there, Baron Lee and Calypso Rose, the Rage too, right? One out of
Well,
Jamaica play soca, the next one out of Trinidad they play soca, and here it is, Delta and the Sensation, the middle of it all with the broke down song, right? Talk about their
no.
competition there, how Belize people had gravitated towards
You
the
see,
Baron Lees and the Calypso Rose,
the
and
problem
also,
was, the problem is, it wasn't a problem for us. Because when we go to Belize, and Byron Lee goes to Belize, Byron Lee has a crowd that goes to the city center. He was at city center,
yes,
and we were at the Princess.
yep,
We were jam-packed. But the people that goes to the Big Apple and a different place, nobody was there.
yes,
You see?
yeah,
So you find that when we go, it's okay. But when Byron Lee and them go, and those foreign artists, the people there, they go there. But they come to our show because we have records and we do our thing
We got
and we
hits.
advertise ourselves,
Yes, yes,
you
yes.
know?
But talk about that social dynamic, people in liking foreign over their own, especially around September celebration time. Tony Wright has led the whole thing called bring tech back with September, right? And
Yeah, yes,
September
man.
celebrations is quickly approaching, and we know we're having all these things by the National Institute of Culture and History, song competitions, essay competitions, and awards that will be given in and the Palacio Award, the Leila Vernon Award, and all of that. But talk about this struggle, Phil, and you are part of that. You are part of that generation, and you are a legend in your own way, merging into the sunset in a way um, of Belizean music. But talk about why is it that attitude exists where our people don't embrace Tony Wright, have fought battles on his show, Belizean Musician Past and Present. And I know Dels have appeared on there many times. And
Yes.
his other show in the daytime. But talk about why is it that you think Phil Smart, as one of the brainchild and the brain power and the minds, the brilliant mind behind the legendary band Dels and the Sensation, who have
Okay, I think
participated amongst the foreign artists, them. Talk about why you think our people gravitate more to the reggae and the soca over their own Brockdown and Punta Rock.
it's because of the radio stations. What they do, they dedicated 99% of the music to foreign artists. There was a time, probably about 1980, 84, 85, and 86, that area when
Mm-hmm.
the Punta Rock music was kicking butt. There was no Byron Lee coming to the States, to Belize, no foreign artists coming to Belize. But guess what happened? Everybody was dancing Punta. Creole, Spanish, Indian, everybody dancing the Punta. All the bands were making money. All the local artists were making money. All of a sudden they start bringing back Byron Lee. What they do when they do that, they promote them highly, right? And another thing is the bands that they were playing, like the Messengers, the New Messengers, and
Santino
even
Messengers.
Ray-Ban and all of those. Well, Ray-Ban was one that tried to do some of his own song. But the bands, they were playing mostly Byron Lee music. The same thing the bands play all their music the same way they got it recorded and things like that. And the radio stations, they play the same thing over and over. So guess what happened? They don't want to hear a local band. They want to hear 10th of September. They want the original artist to do it.
Yes. And all them great September celebration events that was of the past, like Battle of the Bands, that
They don't have
uh,
that anymore.
you don't have those anymore. And those were the things that, even though you used to have in the 70s the Sonny Bradshaws and the Eric Donaldsons coming to Belize and playing live at the Palace, right?
Yeah.
We still had a more nationalistic fervor where people were embracing Belizean music more. The legendary Mr. Peters and Bowman Shine. I remember going to things like Festival Grand Market and that Bowman Shine the star. You understand? We had a much more appreciation for our own music. Today, our young people and that emerging generation have sort of gravitated more towards the
Jamaican
Jamaican
reggae.
artists and the Trinidadian soca artists over Brockdown and Punta Rock. It's a battle that we hope to, it's a continuous fight to get people to embrace more of Belizean music over their foreign. But as you said, that there are certain factors and things that barriers that are in the way that are helping to push this and making this behavior so extensive that it continues into from one generation to the other. But we want to continue talking about Dells, but at this present time, I want to merge into the book. And from the time that we have left, I hope can Harlan put the book up. Not only the picture of Dells, but the entire book, Harlan, if you may. That was written by the man here, which is our guest today. Thank you so much, Harlan. Can you just expand it, make it full, the entire picture have it with the whole band too there, Harlan, with the Dells at the top. We want our audience to see the book in its entirety, the whole picture. The Pride of Belize by Philbert Smart. Phil, what made you write the book? What made you write the book?
Well, there were a number of people, Bell Sensations have been around for a while. We've been working hard to get people to appreciate us. But there are a lot of people that didn't appreciate the band, or some people, at least the younger people. When I ask them, I say, have you ever heard about Dylan Sensation? They say, no. I say, you sure? They say, I haven't. I say, you ever hear about a song called Old Man Sweetheart? They say, yes, I love that song. I say, who did this song? Oh, I don't know. You ever heard about the song called Tears on My Pillow? Yes, who did that song? They don't know. You ever heard about Freedom Fighter? They don't know. Hurricane Iris? They don't know. So the thing is,
Raise the Belizean flag.
stations were playing the music, but they weren't saying who were playing the music. So I'm saying, if they don't know about it, then it is my obligation and my duty to let people know who the land sensation was, is, and what's going to happen to them in the future.
Yes.
If I don't get out and promote it, then nobody's going to do so for us.
There you go, Phil. And I was able to read it, and you were very modest in leaving out a lot of stuff. I understand the amount of detail and the volumes that transcend the band. But tonight, on this show, Belizeans get the other side. And I would urge Belizeans to pick up the book. Talk about where the book can be found. Can we get the book in Belize? Where can we get the book in Belize for a Belizean audience who are listening, who may want to get the book on Dells of the Sensation? And for Belizeans in the United States who also want to purchase the book. Is the book on Amazon? Talk about it and how people can get the book, Phil.
Belizeans in the United States can get it at Amazon, on Amazon. And if they go on Facebook, we have a URL there where they can click and go get it on Amazon. Or they could call my office. We have some at my office.
And Belizeans in Belize, how can they get a copy of the book?
Well, the Belizean in Belize, I'll have to make arrangement for that. I'm going to be going down to Belize in July.
You have to have a launching in Belize, Phil.
Huh?
You have to have a launching in Belize.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, yes. Plus, I'm going to make sure that the libraries, they get books. And also the House of Culture.
Very much, very much. And
I wish I could put one in every school, but I can't afford that.
And of course, you will be donating a copy of that also to the Belize Music Project, which
right.
is a project documenting Belizean music history, and hope one day come out with the 100 Years of Belizean Music CD pack, which is fastly approaching as the music get converted from analog to digital, all this great Belizean music that was stored away in the archives. Belize Music Project is resurrecting those music, bringing them back alive. And hopefully soon Belizeans will be able to, and Dells and the Sensation is a part of that Belizean Music Project.
Yeah.
Belizeans will be able to hear and have in their homes 100 years of Belizean music soon. But Delta the Sensation book. Have a launch down in the land. You have a launch down the Belize, brother. You know?
Oh, yeah. Yes, man. We go
Hopefully
arrange that.
Mitch can help embrace you and help you to promote the Delta the Sensation, which is a big part, the book, which is a big part of the history, Belizean music history, and the promotion of Belizean history. And we have the living legend and the man behind the book today who have written this um, culturally powerful book on a legendary Belizean band that broke barriers and created a sound, a Belizean music sound that had a signature and a lead singer, Del, the late legendary Del Smart, as the leader, as the face and the force behind that band, and the rest of the brothers, the Smart brothers, as musicians, and as you feel, the man behind the scene that was putting together the business and the entertainment aspects of the band, as well as its songwriter. We want to say again, this is Navel String Connections. I am Bilal Morris. This is a XTV production. You're listening to and watching Navel String Connections, the Belizean show in the Belizean diaspora, coming to you live and direct every Thursday across the United States, United Kingdom, wherever you live, Africa, Europe, wherever you live, Belizeans. Tune into the Facebook page of XTV where you can see the show live, or the XTV YouTube channel where you can also see the show live. Those of you who have missed it, you can go back and watch the recording, watch the podcast of the show on the XTV Facebook page, and as well as the YouTube XTV page. And again, we want to invite you to tell one about Navel String Connection. This is a show that bridging the gap between Belizeans at home and abroad, bringing up people, uniting our people through music, culture, information, commentaries, and a lot of voices that you will be able to hear, both from Belizeans in the diaspora and Belizeans at home, who have built Belize culture, who have built Belizean music, who have built Belizean businesses, who have built the country of Belize itself, its tourism, it's amazing cultural sites across that nation, the very popular resorts, the flora and the fauna of Belize. We are Belize, as Seferina used to like to say. Navel String Connection brings you that. Brings you these two shores, bring you Belizeans from two shores. And today we have, we are fortunate and blessed to have as one of those Belizeans that live in the diaspora, the legendary Phil Smart. My brother, as we wrap up, we are winding into the last few minutes of the show, Phil, and I want to briefly talk, let us talk about your work in community building, the things that you did in helping the Belizean community, the community that had the most businesses, the largest amongst of restaurants that are still prominent today, the Belizean political front that we have built, Belizeans in the Belizean Los Angeles community have built for decades living here. The struggles that we have waged, you were a big part of that, Phil. You did not only wear that music and that accounting and that immigration, but you also was a big part of this community building where we call the Los Angeles Belizean community. Talk a little bit about that, if you may.
Well, I always believe that unity is strength. And together, we got together along, like I said, along with my friends, the girls, Elaine and Laverne and Lorna and Verona.
Out of Hattieville.
Yes, how we formed a community where we were always working together to keep the Belizean community together. I can recall my friend, the late Roland York. when he took over, I decided to interview him for the Caribbean Vibration newspaper, remember?
He became the Consul General of Los Angeles, the Belize Consul
Became the
General.
Consul General, yes. And when I went there the first day, you know what he said to me? He said, I know you and you know me. He said, I am UDP and you the PUP. I said, no, Mr. York. I said, out here we are Belizeans. And unless Belizeans work together, we are not going to survive. It took Mr. York about 6 months to realize, wait a minute. We cannot think UDP and PUP out here. And Mr. York was one of the better consul general in Belize here, because he understood that we have to work together. The restaurants in Belize are nice, not because you have a restaurant, I'm not gonna deal with you. Hey, we got to work together to build a community.
Very much.
So now you know you go to by Jack's Boys, there was a group together. Some people don't like them, but guess what happened? We got to work together to make things happen. There are some other people by the White House. Then there were the guys that play cricket.
And you have
From
the
Crooked
Jacks,
Tree.
you have the Jacks spot, which is
Yeah.
very popular. Yes.
Then you have Crooked Tree by one of the streets out there. Everybody have to work together to make it good for Belize. And guess what we did? Every time they got what we call a big dance, group of Belizeans get together, we supported each other. You know, I think out here we are more united than they are in Belize.
That's a very powerful statement that you mentioned in sort of ending this segment, that the Belizeans in the diaspora are more organized than the
Yeah.
Belizeans in Belize itself. And it's a big statement, Phil, and we will probably take some flack for that statement. And but the many hours and hours of conversation that you and I have had over the years, that we talk about this nation called Belize, both at home and abroad, and how we can unite these two nations. And we very much it's work in progress, as you would say, right, Phil? It's work in progress.
Yeah.
And we are so happy and blessed to know that you are still alive with us today.
Well, I
Many
hear
have
that.
moved on. The Honorable Roland York, which was our
Yeah.
Consul General, the Honorable Roy Young, which was also a very dynamic Consul General in the Los Angeles Belizean community.
The first.
Those were outstanding Consul Generals. The Honorable Paul Warren before the first Consul General.
Pearl and Paul, yeah.
The Los Angeles Belizean community was the first the first community that got a Consul General, a full-blown Consul General office in 1985. It is the place where the Consortium for Belizean Development was formed in 1985. The Los Angeles Belizean community has a historical context. Would you say it's smart? Huh?
I remember the radio station. What was the name of the radio
And then the
program?
brother sponsored radio program on KPFK Los Angeles called Belize Caribbean Pulse that used to come to Belize every Friday morning from 9 to 11. And that program ran for 10 full years. And there Belizeans could get news, views. We interviewed all the political parties, all the governments that came in that period of time from 1985 from 1986 to 1996. It spanned an entire 10-year period where the changes of the many changes of government, we hosted them in interviews on that very show. And so I think that if you want to see a model Belizean community in the diaspora, we can say that the Los Angeles Belizean community, would you say, Phil? is that model.
Yeah.
And again, my brother, I want to thank you very much for coming on, and I want to give you the last words here, Phil. Um, as our guest today, you transcend volumes of information on Belizean diaspora history, music, culture, and everything, community organizing, immigration, and all of that. But leave us with your last few words that you would like to share with the Belizeans both at home and abroad.
Oh, yeah. We've been serving the Los Angeles Belize community since 1975. And we are aspiring to give prompt, reliable service and confidential service to the community. We're going to continue to work to bring the community together so that we will excel in whatever we do. I need to speak to those people who are undocumented or those people who needs to get their paperwork together, immigration work, the status straightened out. Give us a call. Don't be afraid to call me. Like I said, I could know quite a bit, but what I don't know, I can find out. And what I cannot do, I can refer you to someone that will be able to get it done. Other than that, I continue to say Belizeans here in the diaspora continue to work together. We don't want to be separated. Remember, unity is strength. And we have strength, we have power. And we have what we are saying. We want to have Belizean power in this community. Thanks for being allowing me in the program. And I will continue to work hard to help our Belizean people. Thank you.
The legendary Phil Smart, thank you very much for being our guest tonight on Navel String Connections. We want to thank our viewers, listening and viewership across the Belizean diaspora, both at home in Belize and across the United States, the UK, Europe, and afar, wherever Belizeans are. We want to thank you so much for listening tonight. And again, I want to say I'm Bilal Morris. My co-host ARIA Lightfoot will be back with us next week. This has been a XTV production. Our producer is Nur Mohammed, and our man behind the controls, or technician engineer, is Harlan. We want to thank all today who have made the show possible. And again, we want to invite you next week again to another episode of Navel String Connections, when we will be here, God willing, live again, to bring you another mover and shaker, a Belizean in the diaspora or a Belizean at home, who are working strenuously with body and mind to bridge the gap between those at home and abroad and unite our Belizean nation. And again, we want to thank you for being with us here. And again, I say, in ending the show, thank you for watching.